Hello and welcome to another episode of A Divine Twist. You know who I am, and I just want to start this show by saying I love how the universe works. And when we start something because we just want to share community, connection, love, joy, and all the things, it always turns into something probably bigger than we set out. And today's guest, let me just preface the show by saying, you're gonna want to eat after the show, so just prepare yourselves. Today, I am so excited because today's guest is a multi-talented human. I'm going to let him introduce himself. But today on the show, I have Andy LoRusso. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, Andy.
Ciao, buongiorno, buonasera. I think it's a little before noon your time, right? I'm in Florida. You're in Minnesota.
Minnesota. That,
Yes.
yes, that is true. And so what I'm so excited about, specifically about this conversation, is that we share this thing we call dystonia. You have a certain variety. And also, though, what I love most about this conversation is the magic and the love. And we share so many affinities for love, connection, food, song, dance, and cooking. And so please share with my audience because probably my audience doesn't know of you yet. So can you please share with the audience about who you are and what you're here to do, my friend?
Yes, thanks. But I always start off every performance, every opportunity by singing a song that was written for Dean Martin back in the movie called The Caddy. And here we go. And this is what it's all about. Are you ready? Everybody. In Napoli, where love is king, where boy meets girl, here's what they sing. And we get everybody singing along, create the energy. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore, that's love, yeah. When the world seems to shine like you had too much wine, that's amore. Bells will ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling and ting-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hearts will play tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. That's a dance, tarantella. When the stars are making you drool, just like pasta bazoo. I make a great pasta bazoo, but it's up on my website. When you walk down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, when you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusa me, buddy, you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Hey. That's it. That's how I start. Because if people don't get the idea of what I'm about by now, in terms of my passion, my love, my joy, and really, it really all started by being raised in a wonderful Italian American family, very close knitted. We did what all other families do. However, we sat down and ate together. We talked together. We yelled together. We sang together. We danced together at weddings or wherever we were. And it was always something that we were able to add to that connection, that communication with the familia. And I have been so blessed over the years to have a career that's pretty much expanded, or since 1991, when I published my first cookbook, Sing and Cook Italian with Andy LoRusso, which came with an audio tape so people could sing in the kitchen while they cook, to now, and all the years and everything in between has just been an unfoldment of not only my potential, but my ability to give value to others in the world. And I will, God bless me with good health, I will continue to do that as long as I very well can, even if they have to carry me on the stage in a big pasta pot. That's funny. I like that. And to do whatever I do, jump out of the pasta pot like a cake or whatever, or a cannoli, jump out of a cannoli and still do what I'm doing now. So thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. And one of the reasons that I felt called to start this little podcast, and aptly named A Divine Twist, is because I do believe we are all intricately connected. And sometimes life throws us some lemons, Andy, and it's really important to discern how we want to respond to said lemons or a twist. Literally, in my condition, the cervical dystonia is literally a twist that I didn't always perceive it to be divine. I didn't always perceive it to be a blessing, a joy, a gift. And what I have learned through a lot of dark years of the soul is it's always for a higher purpose, in my humble opinion. And so I'm curious, you are a very loving, generous, accomplished human, and you also got tapped on the shoulder by this thing we call dystonia. And one of my things that I love to say is what I love about dystonia, I never would have met the singing chef, Andy LoRusso, if I didn't get tapped on the shoulder. So I would love for you to share with us a little bit about your journey with this dystonia.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Well, a number of years ago, when I was in Santa Barbara, I used to live in Santa Barbara, which I am dying to go back, at least for a visit in 2025, see all my many friends there, and even do a fundraiser or two that is on the table. There's a couple on the table now, because that's what I love to do, fundraisers for many, many organizations. So I was bicycling, I was cycling in the mountains, and I had an accident. It didn't. It was an accident. I was cycling in the mountains, coming down a hill, and I felt, and I had my eyelids close on me, and I was unable to negotiate this particular hairpin turn. And sure enough, I ran into, thank God, listen to this, I ran into a wire fence. If the fence wasn't there, I would have been down into an avocado valley orchard.
Oh.
So fortunately, again, I always look for the good in things, even though my bike, which was 100% Italian, it was carbon, it was made in Italy, it had some damage, had no brakes left. I had a scratch on my cheek from my glasses, bike glasses digging into my cheek. But other than that, I was fine. And I was up in the middle of nowhere. There was no cell phone coverage. I usually do this route maybe once or twice a week. It was a great route. However, someone came by with an SUV and saw me in need. And he picked me up and he took me back to where I was living at the time in Santa Barbara. So there you go. There's one sign of angels, which I do believe in, watching out for
Hey.
us at a certain time and place. I had no idea how I was going to get home. I had no brakes on the bike. I was in sort of like shock before the pain came on. And after that, I did an assessment of what happened, and I realized that something was going on with my neurology, my condition, neurological condition with my eyes. Now, prior to that, I went to my eye surgeon, really great guy. His name is Dr. Katzif, Doug Katzif. He does surgery on the eyes. He puts in lenses. For me, he put in some fantastic lenses in my eyes prior to my accident. And I wasn't getting the Botox at the time, but he did say that I probably would need, knowing seeing me blink a lot. Okay, blink, overly blinking.
Mhm.
And that's why I have my glasses on usually in most of my pictures because my eyes blink a lot, especially when I get excited. But my teacher, a voice teacher who was 88 years young, when I approached her, I said, Giovanna, I get so excited every time I'm in your presence, under your tutelage. I want to learn how to sing bel canto. She says, Andrew, I want to tell you one thing. Excitement and Italian are one word. So anyway, to get back to my excitement and enthusiasm, I realized that something was going on in my physiology that I needed to address. I needed to find out more about. Then a number of different things happened, not as drastic as my cycling accident, but some other things started to happening to me that I started to look online and check out what it could be. So I went to the site Dystonia, and I found my particular condition, other than reading about dystonia and how many people have it all over the world, all different ages. And I found out that what I was challenged with was I say it a challenge, but a disease called blepharospasm, meaning the eyes spasming, eyelid spasming, not the eyes, but the eyelid spasming. Then I dug deeper and realized, after I also found out and called the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation in Chicago, which I'll tell you a little bit more about my relationship with them. But I realized that it was buried deep in the brain in the basal ganglia because I'm just that way. I do a little bit, I dig deeper. Like if I'm doing a recipe, I try to find out why this and that and why not this, why not that. So I found out that it stemmed from uh, basal ganglia, which is in the which is in the brain, which is, the CEO of all our activities that we do, all our motions, and even when we sleep. So I started to do some research on that. And what had happened was I reached out to a number of different companies. One, I believe, was in Texas, was the Dystonia Foundation in Texas. Then I found this organization in Chicago, which you know and I know, and that has connected us uh, in this context. And I talked to them about it, and they told me, "Oh yes, we heard we have patients or clients or supporters that have had dystonia or have dystonia that support us and that reach out to us for treatments, so on and so forth." So that's how my relationship started, by having blepharospasm and reaching out to the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation, DMRF, and contacting them and finding out more about it. And also what I can do, number one, to help myself from this condition, even to cure, which they told me they don't have a cure at the moment for this condition of dystonia. Okay. However, that's how it all went down. And that's how I met the wonderful people at the DMRF in Chicago, the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation in Chicago.
Thank you for that again, because my focus when I originally started this was to talk to people who have cervical dystonia, which is just one of many versions of dystonia. So when I found out that you have this version that you have, I was like, even cooler because we're opening the net here a little bit wider. So I do have a question. You're a very savvy, charismatic individual. I'm curious, what was the time between your accident to the time when you figured out that it was dystonia? How much time was in between? Was it a long time or?
Well, it was probably a couple weeks,
Yeah.
and with the help of computer and of course my angels, I was able to dig deeper, and I was able to see videos on
Mhm.
YouTube, which is really amazing, of other people challenged with the same type of disease, with the same type of condition, and listen to their share on how either how they got it or how they are dealing with their condition, what they do in their day-to-day life, right? And trying to learn from them, having it before I had it, and just try to utilizing all this wonderful knowledge that again we're sharing some of the knowledge now. So that really helped me a lot after I learned how to spell blepharospasm, which is not easy to spell. But after I learned that, I was able to look online and see and listen to some were from London. One lady that I remember distinctly was from London, explaining her condition,
Mhm.
explaining some of the things that are helping her out to deal
Mhm.
with it on a day-to-day basis, and explaining what she can do, what she used to do, and what she's unable to do now because
Mhm.
of the condition of blepharospasm.
Well, I'm glad, Blepharospasm. I'm glad that you are sharing it here because honestly, it's like, how do you pronounce that one? That's a doozy. Blepharospasm. Am I saying it right?
Blepho is are the eyes. Blepho and of spasm is spasm. So if you put them together, blephospasm.
Okay. This is also
Spelling
a phonics lesson for people. No. So
it is really hard.
I mean, I'm so in gratitude to the Dystonia Foundation also. And so what just for people who maybe have never heard of this amazing foundation or who are just hearing this video and maybe they think they or a loved one has dystonia, what did that do for you to just be able to on the internet find someone who had this, who actually had some tools that were actually useful? What did that do for your mental health, your emotional well-being, Andy?
Well, it's just like anything else. We hate to think that we're the only person in the world having the challenges that we're having, with all the things that are available now through science, through medicine, through personal and holistic healing, through prayer. It's amazing the resources we have. All we have to do is not only ask for it, but reach out and talk to other people
Mm.
to get charged up and to get benefit from it. But that really helped me to
Mhm.
understand my condition, to see what types of treatment, as my doctor, Doug Katzeff, had recommended to try. And I had started the Botox injections, not specifically for now here in Florida, not only for cosmetic reasons which it helps. And people do have migraines, and when they have an extreme condition of migraines, they get the Botoxin. However, when I started to use or to utilize the treatment, the Botox itself was able to freeze some of those active muscles in and around the face and the eyes. So I wouldn't be blinking and spasming as much with the blepharospasm. And it did help. I haven't gotten it. It's been a while. I changed insurances and the insurance plans changed. So it's really, really hard.
Mm.
And it's expensive if I had to pay for it out of pocket.
I do
So
have
I've
a
been,
clarifying question.
yeah,
Were you getting the neurotoxin into the actual lid or around the eyes?
in and around the eyes. Plus, I had a terrific doctor who's retired. I believe she was from Guatemala. She was an amazing lady. She retired. She actually was delicate enough to put it actually into my eyelids and also around the forehead and also the trigger points by the temples and just below the eye socket. And she was really, really good at it. And I was so disappointed when she retired, but she really needed it. She
So,
also Italy. She and her husband traveled to Italy. So that's and that helped out. It really did. It kicked in sometimes almost immediately, but sometimes it took a day or so for me to get benefits from the Botoxin.
mm,
But then after my assessment was after 90 days, I was able to use my insurance again and get the treatment again.
mhm. Okay. So that's one, it sounds like helpful tool at one point on your journey. Are there other things that you would share for the people who also have this version of dystonia that you think are lifesavers or game changers or helpful?
Well, again, my lifestyle has been always an inner discovery. Even though on the outside, I'm a performer, I'm a singing chef. I love to perform in front of thousands of people when I can, or in a context of a private party, 25 people singing with me, possibly cooking with me, sharing the whole experience, creating experience as a singing chef. However, I've been very fortunate over the years to make my decision to keep my health and realizing that health is wealth. Once one loses that, they cannot get it back. It's like time.
Mhm.
Money, we can get back. We work hard for it, or however we get it back. But time, we cannot recapture time. So, besides our time being valuable, it's thinking about what we can do, especially at this point in my life, to give value back to the world. So, I started back in 1973 after I found out about meditation through the guru that came here called Maharishi Mash Yogi. And he was just in America. He was on the Merv Griffin show. And he was telling people about this simple, natural, effortless technique that allows the individual to gain a very, very deep rest, to melt away the stress in the physiology, to get an amazing brainwave coherence in the brain within that 20-minute period, to reduce cortisol levels, right? To also achieve greater clarity and energy in activity. And I said to myself in 1973, I want that. I want to do that as long as I live. So I started back in 1973. I became a teacher of it. I went to Switzerland for 6 months. Maharishi made me and hundreds of other people back in the mid 70s teachers. And I went back to New Jersey, where I was born and raised. And I lived in the TM Center with one of my best friends and started to teach people this technique. And then I went to Switzerland and became a teacher of it. So I was very fortunate to make that decision to put health above everything else. Number one, my dad was a disabled vet. He came home from the war, partially crippled. He was collecting 100% disability. He was hit by friendly fire, so I was told, and his spine was frozen. However, he took good care of us as best as he can. He was a mechanic in the war. He worked on the tank corps. But my dad was a tough Taurus. He was a bull. But I knew I didn't want to end up like that because of all the stress in his life, because it's stress is the number one condition that affects a lot of people. They pound it in, they keep accumulating stress, not knowing how to rid it. Deep sleep does not always take care of the stress in our body, right? It doesn't, because a lot of us don't even sleep deep enough to get a good night's sleep with the REM sleep and all the, all the other type of things that go on at night. So, and TM does help tremendously with that. So my dad, besides coming back from the war, being and taking care of us, he also cooked a lot. So I got a lot of inspiration from the male role model in the kitchen cooking,
Yeah.
And men, if you're out there listening, men, you cook, God bless you.
Yes.
And lady you're with, whatever, if not, if she doesn't love your cooking, forget about it. What I'm saying, because it's really a wonderful thing to have the man cook. And in most Italian families, the women do all the cooking. But in present day age, a lot of men like to either join in or cook themselves. So my dad did a lot of the pasta sauces, makes the meat, the pork, the beef, the veal in the gravy overnight. He would cook the fish. We would go fishing on the Jersey Shore. He would make the fish for us, father and son. By the way, that's in my second cookbook. My dad's fishing with my dad at the Jersey Shore and the recipe that we did with one of the bluefish that he caught. But because of his stress, even though he was home pretty much full time and my mom worked, he was in a lot of pain. Mm-hmm. He smoked a lot and unfiltered cigarettes. And that didn't help the situation at all. And I was secondary smoke in the house. It was really tough. And you did not want to tell my dad that he couldn't smoke in the house.
Right.
It just wasn't a thing to tell a guy like that, Yeah. But in any event, he ended up dying of cancer. Mm. And just before I started transcendental meditation and went to teacher training in Switzerland, they went into his throat and had a tracheotomy. And my dad was so stubborn, he still smoked through the tracheotomy. That was my dad. Mm-hmm. That's how stubborn he was. But seeing that challenge that he had, and I knew, and I know it was from that stress. I mean, my God, wars are terrible. Yeah. And seeing my dad go through that as a 6'2" Johnny Weissmuller, for those who were in our age group, Johnny Weissmuller was the first Tarzan in Hollywood. My dad would swim when he was in his latter part of his teenagers, a mile or two every day. We had a cabin upper Greenwood Lake, New York. He would swim. He was so in shape, but coming back from the war, the other side of the coin. And I saw that change and I saw that transition. And I never, ever wanted to be in that situation. So I put health as my primary course. I put health as my primary part of the meal. So I've been very lucky. So number one, every day, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the evening. I have an advanced program, so it takes me a little bit longer. What I found out, I also found out that when I eat certain foods, that it brings on the blinking of the eyelids, that it brings on the condition of dystonia more. For example, being loving exercise, loving the outdoors, loving hiking in the mountains, and of course, loving cycling, which I am unable to do now safely. So I haven't really done it since my cycling accident because of the blinking of my eyes. But loving all of that and understanding where that came from and trying to see when I eat, my diet is totally different now. and what I eat and the type of foods I eat that bring on this condition more. Now, for example, being raised in an Italian American family with grandma from Sicily at the helm, cooking for us, my mom's mother. And what I realized is that this was something that I really needed to look at is my diet. But on the stove, she would always have a bialetti, which is one of those Italian stovetop espresso pots, which I still have, by the way.
Of course.
So when I cut down, and I realized when I cut down on my espresso or stimulants, caffeine, it does help out. So that's a suggestion. And when I do not have caffeine, I notice the difference. Okay, so this the change in the diet, this caffeine. Okay, and I know that exacerbates it.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is salt.
Mm.
Watching the salt in my diet. Okay, I try to curtail my salt. I love salt.
Mm-hmm.
I use it. I use either Himalayan salt
Mm-hmm.
or deep salt crystals in my cooking, but I try to watch the food that I buy, the food that I eat with the salt. So that helps. Cutting down on caffeine, cutting down on sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because that brings up my blood pressure. Blood pressure also affects the spasming of the eyes. Now, unfortunately, what I found through the Dystonia Foundation in Chicago, they had a doctor on and they did a webinar, because sometimes they have these wonderful free webinars from the foundation. And once you get on their mailing list, you'll be informed of these webinars that you can tune into. And what they found out, and this is in a sense unfortunate because I love exercise, especially hard exercise, also exacerbates or stimulates the blinking of the eyes. Mm. So that has been sort of a Debbie Downer in that respect. So I try to not overly exercise, but I do exercise every day. Either it's walking 1.5 miles. This morning I found the gym in this new location that I'm at. So I did a little walk, maybe 0.5 mile. Then I did some walking on the treadmill and some free weights in my upper body. But every day I try to do something because that really helps out tremendously. So cutting down on caffeine, cutting down on sugar, watching my diet, watching my salt, curtailing my exercise, but doing it every day, meditating, and having a good mindset, all are a great recipe to help out people with the constant dystonia that they may have.
I love all of those. And some of them are kind of shocking, right? Like exercise. Wow. Yeah. And it also seems like wearing the glasses is, I mean, I'm just curious for cervical dystonia, the sensory trick, like touching your face or even having a scarf, for me, it's pressing my head against the headrest in the car helps diminish all my spasms. Um, I wonder if glasses for this condition is a sort of a sensory trick too. I don't know.
I don't know. It helps me out because, well, I do. These are a little bit darker, but they're not polarized and they're radiated. So they're at the bottom, they're clear, and the top, but they're not. And they also look cool, right?
Well, yeah, I'm like, where am I? I gotta get my glasses on.
They also look cool, you know. You want to look cool, but it does help in my eyes. But since I do wear the sunglasses a lot, and I do have lighter pair of glasses when I perform, so I can see what I'm cooking, so I don't cook myself when I'm doing the big shows or private parties as the singing chef. But the light does, especially down here in Florida during the day, it does bother my eyes. So it really helps out. In social contexts, I try to wear a lighter glasses, sunglasses, but I do have them on because it is, I don't like to have people see me blinking all the time, or sometimes my eyes will totally close, and then I sort of have to, you know, force them in a sense to open. So, and if you're in a social situation, and it's just easier to tell people I have these glasses on because I have an eye condition. That's all.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's
But
a
you know what?
lot easier,
Yeah, it's
even
interesting.
though, as you know, the eyes are the window to the soul, as Khalil Gibran says.
Yes.
It's just that the condition that I have, I feel more comfortable in social situations.
Mhm.
Even though I just did an event for the senior center in Delray Beach, a sing and cook event where I prepared a certain dish for them, a couple dishes from my cookbooks, simple, easy, and I had them sing along with me to the songs, my CD, that's Amore CD. One of the ladies says, "Oh, please take off your glasses. We want to see your eyes." And I told her the situation. I
Yeah.
told her why I
Yeah.
have my
Yeah.
Ray-Bans on at the time, and she understood. She said, "Oh, yeah, there."
Yeah.
But that's sometimes I get that, but that's okay. You
Yeah, of
know,
course. You know, it's interesting when you're talking, Andy, I have noticed this because I do a lot of videos and YouTube and shorts and all this and reels. Most of the still shots, my eyes are closed. And I'm certain that this is part of the dystonia. Or if like I'm having my picture taken, 3 of the 10 shots, my eyes are closed. So it's just interesting how this condition can manifest in different ways. And I just look at it as like, oh, you notice all these things. If you look at this, that's just part of this dystonia thing. So it's just a way to again spread awareness, and you're not alone. I mean, I do believe, and I'm very biased, of course, because I have been tapped on the shoulder with this. The people that have been anointed to join the dystonia party, we are a rare breed of awesome. Obvious.
I like that. Rare breed of awesome. There's a T-shirt. Rare breed of awesome. There you go. Big T-shirt time.
So speaking of awesome, I cooking is actually one of my many love languages. And so when we met and instantly connected because I could feel your energy and it's so juicy and joyful and playful. And so I was able to pick up the tomato basil of Andy's of the Singing Chefs right at Lunds and Byerly's and literally right down the street. And what stood out to me is because I'm into things that are well made and sourced responsibly and all this. I was very impressed by the number of ingredients is very few in this sauce. So that I know from my own experience and doing my own research like you, I like to research things and vet things. So I was, and plus, I'm like, whew, I could see the garlic in here. This looks, I can't wait to try this. So, and also, I want to hire you. Maybe it will be for one of my retreats. I must have your chicken marsala, okay? Because that looks so good. So, for the people listening, we will put links to Andy's website, his recipes, his gorgeous pictures that are going to make you want to run to the store to get his sauce. Tell us how this amazing thing that you have done in the past, cooking for a cure. This is fantastic.
Well, when I first started the idea, right after the pandemic, as you know, a lot of people had to pivot. A lot of people had to think about, number one, how they could take care of their families, how they can provide and make a living for not only their families, but themselves, and what could they do with their talents and skills after many, many people were out of work, lost their jobs, needed more funds to survive, as well as I did, because my main, and hopefully next year, I pray it's going to be a banner year for the Singing Chef 2025. Most of my revenue had come prior to the pandemic from doing, number one, fundraisers for a number of historical theaters. They would hire me to do a fundraiser in their grand ballroom or wherever it might be in their local cities and towns, okay? Or corporations would hire me. The second way were the casinos all over the country that would hire me to do what's called a VIP dinner show, where they would invite their high rollers in. I'd spend tons of money in the casino that always get perk after perk after perk. And the casino saw my show offering, the 90 minutes, as a way to give back to their high rollers. So I provided a 90-minute show, which I still do, called A Night in Italy, with Andy LoRusso, the singing chef. 4-course recipes from my cookbooks. I work with the team in back of the house. I do 3 recipes from the stage, and in between each recipe, there are beautiful images of Italy on the screen with the words. So I encourage everybody in the audience to sing along with me. That's Amore, Santa Lucia, Arrivederci Roma, La Donna Mobile, Sorrento. And by the time the evening is over, they've been wined, they've been dined, they've been sang to, they've been danced with, they've been loved. Then they go out and they do what they love to do, is game in the different casinos or donate more money in a silent auction to the fundraisers. So that for me had stopped. Okay. And I was thinking, okay, what can I do to maintain a livelihood, right? To put literally food on the table. So I thought of my grandmother's recipes from Sicily, my grandmother Grace. So I did some research online to find what's called a co-packer. I found this couple co-packers. Prior to the pandemic, I worked with a sauce company, pasta sauce company in Pennsylvania. And I was their spokesperson for a year. They hired me. And very successful sauce company, family owned. And I called them up and I told them I was having my own brand of sauce, and they were just starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So they suggested they really didn't have room on their assembly line to add another sauce. So they suggested this one co-packer, which my business partner also visited, and he actually went to school with the owner. So what I did at that time, before I took on my business partner, I sent some of the recipes to this co-packer, and the co-packer made the recipes there. It was also in Pennsylvania, Punxsutawney, where the groundhog comes out of the hole. Sent me some samples back, and I says, yes, very, very good. And we started to print up the labels. The labels at the moment have a QR code on them, which over the last couple of years, people love these QR codes because they could scan them. My QR code on the label goes to a 26-second video of me singing a song. My daughter, who's also a chef, who lives in Aspen, was at the dinner table with us with a couple other of my friends here in Florida, and we made these 3 or 4 videos of each sauce: the vodka cream, grandma sausage and fennel, and what you have, a tomato basil. So the sauce labels came, the co-packer put them on, then sent me a dozen samples, and then I started to market, got some really big breakthroughs with friends of mine who love the taste, from Virginia, Bristol, Virginia, the Nice Wonders, who I love so much, who own the Bristol, Virginia Country Club, Farm, Winery, and Resort, said, Andy, you should be in Food City. I said, well, from your lips to God's ears. And this is 2020. So I called them up. I told them how I got the connection, because the Nice Wonders are very big golfers, and they have hundreds of golfers come in all summer, and they fill the supermarkets and the hotels, and so they really support Food City. So I called them up. They took my sauces, and it's been about 3.5 years. My pasta sauces are still in the shelves down there. They have about, last check, 400 cases of the different varieties: vodka cream, tomato basil, and grandma sauces and fennel. And I did a demo for them about 2 years ago in their community room, which was a lot of fun. The owners came in, the Smiths, who are individual owners, called KVAT, K meaning Kentucky, V meaning Virginia, T meaning Tennessee, Alabama, VA, Alabama, and T meaning Tennessee, where all their stores are. KVAT company. And they were there at my demo and they loved it. The wife cooked with me. We did some spaghetti and meatballs using my tomato basil. The Smiths really loved me. So the customers love me. So the sauces are still there at the moment. We're really slowing down production because our costs really skyrocketed, unfortunately. But anyway, that's how that came to be. So getting back to your question, I thought before I expanded into these stores that I give back to the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation by putting on the labels a percentage of the proceeds will be given back to the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation. And I told the director, and I told Debbie, what is the director's name again?
Janet.
Janet, that I'd be doing this. And they were very, very excited and giving back a portion of the proceeds. So that's how I thought of how could I give back with the first production of my pasta sauces. And that was wonderful. And that just sort of came to me because I read a bag of potato chips of this very successful line of potato chips. And I read about the company giving back to whatever organization they were giving back to. And I said, this is a great idea. I'm also going to do that with my pasta sauces. Yeah. And it's amazing how things fell into place. I didn't really, it was right in front of me. I did it was right in front of me. I had the idea manifested, and boom, that's how it happened.
Well, that is such again, a creative, beautiful way to blend all the things that you hold dear, right? Joy, cooking, giving back, community connection. And so brilliant and also very generous and loving. And so what is one thing? So again, we're going to put all these links in the comments so people can buy the sauces if they want to make a contribution, and it will go to the foundation. This is all part of this. What is one thing that you would like to leave the listeners with? Just in general about life, and also especially for those who are navigating this dystonia path.
Well, if they don't know by now, they're not alone with the dystonia. Whether it's the type that I've been challenged with, the Blepharospasm, or cervical dystonia, or full-on manifest dystonia in the whole body, wherever it is, wherever it might be, know that you are not alone. Reach out to foundations like the Dystonia Medical Research Foundation, and ask questions. Ask questions, find out the answers as best as you can, also from others who have been challenged with the specific condition that you have. The other thing I like to tell them, we know that life is too short to worry or concerned. I always love that song. Don't worry, be happy. La, 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 la. It's true because it all works out. The sun is always shining, even above those clouds. If you are patient, so we started off with patience, the clouds will go away and the sun will appear. Be aware of your diet. be aware of how kind you are to others, because that's going to come back to you. If you're thinking about doing something, whether writing a book, a novel, a cookbook, like I have 2 cookbooks out, they're all on Amazon. The second one's on Amazon, the other one's sold out or out of print. If you're thinking of doing something, do it now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Get all the information. You don't have to wait until you're ready. I heard that quote from Wayne Dyer. I love Wayne Dyer. I enjoy his gems of wisdom. And in my first cookbook, I put a quote from Wayne Dyer above each chapter. And basically is you don't wait until you're ready, because some people are never ready. You'll never are ready when the time is right. Do it. Get as much information as you can and do it. Now, for example, I love to go back to Italy. I was thinking about going to Italy, then the pandemic hit. I have lots of friends in Puglia that have an olive oil business. I met in Santa Barbara. They're delicious olive oil. Then they also have 2 restaurants. And I said, you know something? When I'm ready, willing, and able, and have the finances, I'm going. And I went in October, and I had the time of my life for 10 or 12 days in Puglia, Italy. And now I have friends there. Can't wait till I come back. Can't wait to have me sing on the beach that I did when I was there. And they fed me like I was family. Family. That's how we are. So I didn't put it off. I had limited resources, but I knew I had to do it. And I'm so happy I did. And I'm going to keep my health. That's my wealth. And next year, as my new business starts to grow with this new company, and the casinos start to open up their doors for me some more, and I meet new customers, new clients for my private parties and fundraisers, they'll reach out for me no matter how big or small. I'll fly in for you, and I'll do one research or fundraiser we're starting to put together now are for the victims of Helena. We're possibly going to do that in Austin, Texas, November the 2nd. We have the date. Now we're going to have to generate the interest and get people, 25 people to assist, and a portion of the proceeds are going to Helena. The other fundraiser is up for a consideration in Santa Barbara for the Santa Barbara Humane Society. You know how much people love their pets, their children. They're doing a major renovation of their campus in Santa Barbara, and they're really reaching out to fundraiser opportunities. So I have a dear friend in Santa Barbara. He's a very successful businessman. He loves what I do. He sent my proposal to them. So that'll be for 2025. So those things I am really, really excited about. And I want to continue for whoever listens to this for valued information, to see Lisbeth smile, my singing, whatever it is. That's what I want to continue to do, is share that with as many people as possible.
Well, thank you, Andy, for all of your gems and wisdom bits, and really for your spirit. Your essence is it's really delightful, and I knew that we were going to have a great time having just a candid conversation here. So thank you for sharing authentically and vulnerably and so vivaciously, and showing people what's possible when you do intend for your health to be, what carries you. So thank you. Thank you so much. And also thank you to our listeners, and please let us know in the comments what you found helpful, and we'll see you on the next episode.
So let's always want to go out with a song. Are you ready? Yeah. Everybody, that's Amore. We opened up with this, and we're going to finish out with this because it's all about love. And that's what it's all about. You ready? Bells will ring, sing-a-ling-a-ling, sing-a-ling-a-ling, and you'll sing Vita Bella. Hospital, tippy tay, like a gay tarantella. Lucky fella. When the stars make you drool, just like pasta vazul, that's amore. Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much. When you walk down the street with a cloud at your feet, you're in love. Get ready for a big ending. Here we go. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, Senor. Scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Two more times. Well, scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Big ending. Well, scusa me, but you see, back in old Napoli, that's amore. Everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we're out.